Hey, welcome everybody to the Sharpe Way Show. I'm so happy that you are here with me today. Again, another awesome 7 p.m. on the East Coast Wednesday, and there are many things going on. One of the things I wanted to bring up was some of the things that you probably see everywhere, which is the immigration problem or issue or crisis. It's depending upon where you are politically. It's either, the worst crisis in the world, or it's Biden's handling it perfectly, or it's Trump's fault, or insert thing here. But I wanted to bring up a different issue, a way that we can actually deal with it and what's actually happening so you can see it. And I want to bring up how the media is covering this and the issues that are happening now and why it's a crisis right now. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest issues. Why is it a crisis right now? And as always, guys, please like, comment, share. I know I bring it up always. It's important. You should be clicking the like button, the share button, letting people know that this is going on. I want to bring up, this is actually a video that is actually talking about how private organizations are dealing with the crisis and actually what they're seeing. So you might enjoy this. Let me show you. We can talk about this real fast.
Hello, my name is Greg Forcer. I'm the Assistant General Secretary for UMCOR Disaster Response, covering the U.S., the Caribbean, and Central America. The immigration issues and crisis across our border regions have drawn the attention of everybody in our nation.
See, everyone's watching this. This is a group of churches that work together. So this is a nonprofit that's talking about this.
UMCOR has been addressing it on two fronts. One is the unaccompanied minor area, where the children are being held in detention centers. And so we've been in discussion with FEMA, with Immigration, with Department of Homeland Security, and more importantly, with the Office of Faith-Based Initiatives of the White House.
Well, of course, they're concerned about that. They are obviously church groups, so that's an important issue for them.
Fortunately, we are unable to intervene in any way at this time, as it has been declared a national security issue.
Look at that.
But on another front, those that are coming across our border accompanied with children and adults are finding their way into immigration hearings and then being released on an appearance ticket to go ahead and thereby being dropped off at bus stations and churches and border.
You've been hearing about this, right? Absolutely been hearing about this.
Mission areas within our church setting. Our churches have been the church. They have risen to the occasion. They have gone ahead and provided hospitality with food, water, phone cards, and other resources to those that are traveling.
So now the piece I want to bring up here is you're saying to yourself, well, Larry, you either agree or disagree with this crisis, right? You're saying, oh my God, this is either bad or good, depending upon how you're looking at it. This is a private company, nonprofit group that wants to make things better for the crisis. The unaccompanied minors, we're letting people in and letting them come back. But it's a national security issue. But here's the funny thing about this. This video, 2014. Yeah, 2014. I brought this up to show you that this is a 2014 video, 7 years ago. Nothing's changed. And that's the point. Nothing's changed. National security back in 2014. Now national security is COVID, but it's always national security. And there's always unaccompanied minors. This is 7 years ago. This is back when Biden was VP and Obama was president. You might go, oh, Larry, you're going to beat up on Obama and Biden. Yeah, and Trump too, because he didn't change anything, because we're in the same spot we are today from 7 years ago. It hasn't changed. Now, most of you watching that were like, yeah, that's happening today. Yeah, again, that video is from 7 years ago. That is literally a 2014 video. I was going to find them from 2011. I thought I'll go 2011. That'll blow your minds. But I thought there might be such a difference in the video quality you might notice. So I only went to 2014. But it doesn't get solved. And each side says they'll solve it, but they don't. Obama didn't solve it. Well, first Bush didn't solve it. Obama didn't solve it. Trump didn't solve it. And now Biden's not solving it. And I'm going to tell you why in a second, why Biden's not solving it either. None of them are solving it because they don't want to solve it. They want to keep it a wedge issue. They want to keep blaming the other. Remember, it was AOC down at the border saying how bad it was. Now it's Republicans down at the border saying how bad it is. This is just a way to divide us and to make us feel bad. It isn't the answer. let me tell you, I'm going to give you PBS. This is a PBS talking about this issue. And this is recent. This is not 2014. I'm not, tricking you guys this time. It's not 2014. This is just a couple of days ago, PBS. And the title of this is How and Why. This is the title of the video. How and Why Many Migrants Are Crossing the Border. That's the title of the video. Just so you're aware of that, that's the title. Oh, hold on. Let me pause this real fast. Hold on. Let me make sure I get it to the right spot for you guys so it makes sense here if I can. All right. You'll see this. And this is, again, recent. This part's very recent.
To respond to the influx of migrants, our Ana Navaz was on the border last night, watching as several people crossed into the United States. She reports from Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, and El Paso, Texas.
As the sun goes down over Juarez, this group
has
just made their way from Mexico into the United States.
After
crossing the river and climbing the banks, they quickly scale the wall.
What? They scaled the wall? That's impossible. Yeah, Trump didn't solve it either, right? Obama didn't solve it. Trump didn't solve it. And neither, and we're going to go in a minute to Biden. He's not going to solve it either.
Vantage point, they disappear among the trains on the other side.
We've come to this place that we've heard from local sources. The number of border crossings has been going up in recent.
So they heard from local sources, meaning that people know what's happening. They know what's happening. This is shocking to them.
Sure enough, that crossing that we just witnessed happened in a matter of minutes. What's really remarkable, though, is that this was an area that was patrolled by Mexican National Guard just a few minutes ago. And there's a U.S. Customs and Border Protection truck about 100 yards down that way.
So the U.S. is checking it, and the Mexicans are checking it. And it's not stopping. That prohibition.
At
not
this
working
location,
again.
The distance from one nation to the next is a matter of feet, separated by a shallow, narrow stretch of the Rio Grande River. The pedestrian bridge linking the U.S. and Mexico is mere minutes away, but without
minutes away, and they're not going to that bridge because
documents to enter, they'd be turned back before setting foot on American soil. Crossing here means they're likely to get picked up by Border Patrol and can then make a case to stay in the U.S. On the Juarez side, people are milling about in these evening hours. A park nearby draws parents and children. On the El Paso side, Border Patrol cars regularly scout the area. Still, very soon, we see another crossing at a point further down the banks. This time, a group that looks like 4 adults, one carrying a baby in his arms.
All coming across.
Up the U.S. side, jogging for a moment, then walking along the wall.
Now, I would ask you, if you look at those people, I would hope that whether you are for or against or whatever you might feel about immigrants coming to our country, that you also, I hope, feel sorry too. I hope you're human enough to go, man, these people are coming across. They must have terrible lives. I hope you also feel bad, right? I hope both of those things. You cannot want tons of people coming into our country, and you can also feel bad about that too.
And out of our sight. Soon after, 50 yards the other direction, a group that looks like 4 teenage boys. Not long
there we go, more coming.
What looks like a mother and daughter. They wade
Look at them going across
through the water, but the mother struggles to make it up the steep incline.
Why would you want your kids to come here if it wasn't horrible where you are?
Eventually, they reach the top and continue walking hand in hand on their way.
I have to tell you, this is an incredibly long stretch of land. The family.
Now, I want to bring up the point that this says is exploring how and why so many migrants are crossing the southern border. This hasn't touched that. This is just showing you that this is difficult to control and that people are getting across.
The group seemed to come out of nowhere and then make their way quickly across. We did try to ask some of them as they were crossing where they were from. We did not get an answer. So we don't know much about the families, but we do know that they have made their way into the United States.
Of course.
The vast majority of people apprehended crossing the border right now are being turned back around to Mexico under a pandemic-related rule called Title 42. But the Biden administration is not turning away unaccompanied minors and border agents are making exceptions for some.
Now, here's the issue. Again, we have unaccompanied minors yet again, turning them back. I get it because of pandemic issues, right? Title 42, for those who don't know, is basically a public health rule, or it's probably, I think it's a law that actually does turn people away because of public health issues. But if we didn't have COVID, would they be letting everybody in? Would they not? What would be the answer then? But even when they turn them back, they're still coming. That isn't changing, if that makes any sense. It isn't changing. People are still coming. Absolutely.
Families. U.S. officials say they are seeing high rates of recidivism. The same.
Bingo. They're just coming back. So you send them out and they go, oh, then they try again. Where are they going to go? And I hope that while this looks terrible, I know it does. At the same time, I hope you have some compassion for these people also. You can have two. I know there's some people like, to hell with the immigrants. I'm not that kind of person at all. But whether you are that person or not, I still hope you can have compassion for these people. Why would they be throwing themselves into this meat grinder again and again and again?
People attempting to cross again and again.
Yep.
Ruben Garcia, who's worked in migrant services in the area for over 40 years, says the rule keeping people out could also be fueling the current increase in unaccompanied minors.
Families that have been expelled multiple times, that are traveling with children, and some of them are making the decision to send their children in by themselves.
Absolutely.
Because they have families someplace in the U.S. and they know their children will be released to them.
So literally they can send, and again, this is the system that we've created. This is our fault. This is not their fault at all. Be very clear. This is not the migrants' fault. This is our fault because we've created broken policies, broken border, broken laws. Those are the three reasons why it doesn't work. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to explain the three ways we fix this. This is a repairable problem where you can still have vibrant legal immigration, still have a border, and still have compassion for people who are in trouble. You can do all of those things. But right now, as we try to hold them off, they're being smart. They're taking advantage of our rules. So they send, as much as their family across as they possibly can. A couple will get through, just odds. So let's say there's 7 people in a family, as an example, adults. You send 7 adults in, 2 adults get through, 5 get sent back. The 2 that get through are now there. So now once they're there, they go through their communication systems and whatever, say, hey, here's my phone number. Here I am. Awesome. They then send the kids through with just the phone number in the pocket. I'm not joking. That's a thing. The kids go through with a phone number in the pocket. The border grabs a kid, sees the phone number in the pocket, calls the number. Oh, that's Julio, who's down the road over there, who made it, who's now here. Boom. That's where the kid goes. And you might go, oh my God, Larry, that's terrible. What would you expect of them? What do you expect? If you've traveled X number of hundreds of miles, whatever that is, and now you're on the border and you have some family across the border, what would you do? The same thing. This system that we've created, and you're going to hear me say it all the time, bad systems create bad outcomes. That's how it works. So we've created this terrible system, and now we're blaming the migrants. Now, we have to change our system to make a better system.
So in a sense, our Title 42 policy is helping to contribute.
Yes. Our laws are making things worse? Shocker.
The unaccompanied minor surge that we are seeing.
In response to our request for comment, a Customs and Border Protection spokesman reiterated the border is not open and that the vast majority of people crossing are sent back to Mexico under that Title 42. But he also pointed us to recent data specific to this El Paso sector. Year to date, the number of unaccompanied minors crossing here has seen an increase of 144% compared to last year. Among single adults, they've seen an increase of 231%.
So they're trying to get the single adults across, right? And this, again, I'm not saying this is correct or right or just at all. I'm saying it's what's happening because of our system. That's how they're responding. So they're sending across the single person because that person's got a shot, or a couple savvy kids who will support each other, and a couple get through. So a couple get through. They sit in there. They get set up someplace. They let the people know, hey, where I'm in, and now they send the kids alone. And they connect anyway. This system isn't working.
Congresswoman Veronica Escobar, whose district includes El Paso, says those numbers will grow. But many of the single adults are the same people trying to cross multiple times.
Every time, keep going.
Title 42 doesn't address anything. It doesn't solve anything. It basically postpones the inevitable. None of these policies that push people and limit their legal avenues do anything in the long term.
Thank you. When you limit their legal avenues, that does nothing in the long term. Yeah, we could change that, couldn't we?
In an op-ed for the New York Times today, she wrote, quote, Americans must finally acknowledge that the real crisis is not at the border, but outside it. And that until we address that crisis, this flow of vulnerable people seeking help at our doorstep will not end anytime soon.
What no one is mentioning here is that one of the major reasons why they're coming is because of our terrible policies in their countries. Our war on drugs, our interference with their governments. We're making sure that bad things happen. We're increasing the drug war, right? Why? Our drug war in America created gangs. So what do you think our drug war created in those countries? Gangs. Yeah. So what are they fleeing? Gangs. Who made the gangs? We did. This is no different than when we were bombing people in the Middle East, creating refugees, then mad when refugees come to our borders. We'll stop bombing people and we'll stop making refugees. We're doing the same thing here. Our foreign policy is a huge problem. Stop forcing them to deal with their drugs the way we want them to deal with their drugs. Cartels will begin to go away. Drug gangs will start to go away. It's going to take time. It's not 5 minutes. But that takes time. Now, I showed you a video from 7 years ago. If we changed our policy today, 7 years from now, we'd be in a different position because people would be running away from gang violence within 7 years. I mean, it would take time, obviously, but that would happen. We don't do that. Not just that, our laws we still have laws from Cold War I, back when the Soviet Union was like, if you're fleeing the communists, you can come to our country and gain asylum from communist dictators. Well, yeah, we did that because we wanted all their damn scientists and their Olympic people and such. Yeah, that makes sense. I get that. Those days are over. The concept of asylum should only be when there is actual things like genocides and things of that sort. And then Congress or the president should make an exception. For example, if there was another Holocaust, the Armenian Holocaust, right? I mean, whatever murder, slaughtering, the people being slaughtered in Yugoslavia, make that an exception. Let them come. They are literally fleeing a genocide. Okay, I'm in. I'm prepared to bite the bullet on taking in people from a genocide. Yes, but internal gang struggles? Why does that get asylum under our law? And it does. That's the problem. They can apply for asylum. And they shouldn't be able to. It's our system that shouldn't allow that. There's a better way of bringing them across. But if you are fleeing a genocide, I'm on board. I know some of you libertarians might get angry at me for that, but I don't care. Some Republicans will be mad at me. If you're fleeing a genocide, you can come. I'll give you that. You get a pass for that. When they're putting your people in camps or when they're gassing them or putting them up against the wall and shooting them because of who they are, I'm all right with that. That one, I'll make the exception every day of the week. No worries. But that isn't every day of the week. And that isn't happening in South America right now. So Central America, why are we dealing with that issue? It doesn't make any sense. Our policies and our laws have to change. That's what has to change. Otherwise, we're going to see guys like him at the border every 4 years blaming the other party.
Now we have a border.
Last week, a group of Republican House members visited El Paso to decry President Biden's policies. On Friday, a Republican Senate group will visit the southern border. Escobar will host her own.
All they're going to do is blame the other party as they always do. I've been telling you this for literally years. And I warned you about it last year when I crossed New York State. I said, at the end of this, we're still going to have Republicans mad at Democrats, Democrats mad at Republicans, and no one's solving anything. And they're not going to solve anything. Republicans are now at the border going, Democrats bad. 2 years ago, Democrats at the border going, Republicans bad. And then 4 years from now, whoever's in charge, they'll be doing exactly the opposite again.
Congressional delegation here in El Paso this weekend.
All of these Republican delegations that are coming to the border, what is unsettling to me is the way they use the border as a prop.
Because Democrats don't. Democrats, that only Republicans do. Stop. You're both guilty. You're playing the same game. Stop acting like, oh, Democrats wouldn't do it as a prop. Only Republicans would. No, Democrats too. Both of you do it.
All of that moves us further away from a real dialogue and real conversations.
We don't need real dialogues and real conversations. We need serious policy changes and a whole new concept of immigration on our borders. And I'm going to cover that in 5 seconds, 5 minutes.
Or we're going to have this conversation every single year.
Those solutions may be harder to find with Washington's political wars now being waged on the border.
And at no point did she actually say why. That's what it said. There was no why. They didn't bring up the actual why. They just brought up, here's what's happening, which is nice. It's PBS and it's nice, but it didn't actually do anything. So you might say to yourself, all right, that's okay, because Biden's going to fix it. He's been talking about fixing it. And I'm going to give you that. He has been talking about it. The one thing, excuse me, that Biden has done relatively well is talk about it. He's talked better than Trump has. Has he acted better? No, he has not. He has talked better, and I'll give him that. Biden is a nicer, politer, more empathetic speaker than Trump was. Because you hear me say often, Trump projected power, Biden projects empathy. So he's a nice talker. But now what's he going to do? So far, same old, same old. Watch what Biden said in his most recent talk. This is only a couple days ago. I'll show you this one. You'll see where I'm going with this one immediately. Talking about he's going to put another commission together. Always going to put a commission together or something. Team together or something.
To our southern border. And, back when I was vice president, I got a similar assignment, but.
Yeah, back when he was vice president, he got a similar assignment. And he was vice president in 2009. So he was vice president 12 years ago. And he did get a similar assignment 12 years ago.
One of the things we did was we made sure that we got a bipartisan agreement. Democrats and Republicans.
So bipartisan agreement, like that so far. Two parties trying to fix something. What are you going to do? What can America do well? Let's see. America does several things very well. American government does several things very well. Bombs people, good at that. Trashing other people's countries, really good at that. Putting people in prison, great at that. We're good at those things. We're also good at writing checks. We're amazing at those 4. So which part of that did we do? Or did we do something we're not good at?
Provide over $700 million.
Write a check.
To countries in the Northern Triangle to determine the best way to keep people from coming is keep them from wanting to leave.
Now that's true. His talk is good. He's right. So his answer is, don't change our foreign policy. Don't change our laws. Don't create a safe system for people to come to our country. Write the dictators of those countries checks, because what could go wrong? So that's what he did. That's what they did. The Obama administration did that about 10 years ago. But remember the video I showed you at the beginning of this? That was 2014. That was actually the middle of Obama's second term. So I got a feeling that $700 million check that you sent or whatever it was, that didn't work too well, did it? Because they were still coming back then, and they were still coming during Trump, and they're still coming now. So your dollars didn't work. I mean, I know we're good at writing checks. That's one of our skill sets. But that maybe we should have bombed them? I don't know. We're good at bombing or imprison them all. I mean, that's our skill sets. Maybe we should do that instead.
And the reason why so many people were leaving was that
you learned this.
Not only gang violence and trafficking cartels, but
gang violence, trafficking cartels. He mentioned those first because that's the number one reason. Not even close, hands down, number one reason. Trafficking cartels and gang violence. So how'd you stop that with your $700 million? You didn't. You just gave them money so they can hire more cops to create more gang violence. Like we did in America. Same thing. Look at that. We care so much, we wanted you to copy us. That's what we did. So we exported more violence to those places to ensure more people come. We could stop our drug war, stop our drug policies. We could stop it. We could stop interfering in their countries. We could do that, but
natural disasters, hurricanes, floods.
How many natural disasters, hurricanes, flood happen every week? They happen. Don't get me wrong, they do. But maybe you should have $700 million instead of having them fight the drug war with it. Have them, I don't know, build better levees or something.
Earthquakes, and so it's not like someone sits around a hand union table somewhere in Guatemala and says, "I got a great idea. Let's sell everything we have, give the money to a coyote, have them take our kids or us to the border of America, take us across, leave us in the desert. We don't speak the language. Won't that be fun?" One of the ways we learned is that if you deal with the problems in the country, it benefits everyone.
See, he's right. Again, this is the thing I like. And I got to tell you, the thing I like about so many Democrats is that they actually are usually very good at describing problems. Generally speaking, that's true. They can say, here's a problem, right? The bad part is their answers are always wrong. That's the problem, right? Here's the problem. See a problem? Now here's something that'll make it worse. No, that's just stop at telling me what the problem is, and then maybe libertarians can try to fix it. The problem is you try to fix it. Don't just tell me what it is and then walk away. You're good at that. Do what you're good at.
It's us, it benefits the people, it grows the economies there.
That's correct.
Unfortunately, the last administration that funding did not.
See, that's what it was. Trump did it. I should have known. That's the issue. So in 2014, when they would come across the border and you had kids in cages, I guess Trump preemptively did it. Is that what happened? Was Trump, did he go down to South America and stir up some stuff himself? Did he do that and steal your $700 million you sent down there so that people would go? No, it's been happening. Don't get me wrong. Trump's just as guilty as you, but you're trying to act like it's his fault. He did it. No. You did it before. Trump did it. Obama did it, and you're doing it now. So no, you're all guilty in this. None of you solved the problem. You all said you did, but none of you actually did. Trump said his wall fixed it. It didn't. You said your money fixed it. It didn't. It's the same thing.
Engage in it, did not use it, even though there was over $700 million to help.
$700 million.
Instituting that program.
That'll solve it.
There are, as I said, there are many factors as to why people leave in the first place. But
yes,
this is.
Yeah, we can stop this now. That's the same garbage he always says. Let me explain to you how we fix the southern border and the real reasons why the people are leaving. They're leaving their countries because they believe there is a better chance to work and be successful in America. And they're right. That's why I'm not mad at them. If I was them, I would probably do the same thing. Many of us watching would do exactly the same thing. They're right. There's a better chance for us to come here. Now you might say to yourself, okay, well, Larry, but then we don't want illegal immigrants. They're illegal. They're illegal immigrants. No, we do want them. Tremendously, we do. Now, you personally might not want to have an undocumented worker, but you know who does? The hospitality industry, the agricultural industry, and more industries. They want them desperately. They go out of their way in the black market to get them. They wouldn't be here. Cleaning industries, hotel industries. Oh my God. If there was no work for them, they wouldn't be coming. They come because there's work for them. And everyone says, it's because you're the welfare state. That's not the reason. They're not coming for welfare. They're coming for work. That's what they're coming for. They're not coming, I want to come here so I can have welfare. That's not why. Do some scam welfare? Of course. But you know the most people who scam welfare, and this will make some of you upset, it's actually people who are not coming from South America. It isn't. I see it in New York all the time. All the time. It's not who you think it is. It's people who you would think, oh no, they're not scamming welfare. Watch the guy or gal who has a hot dog stand in New York City, or the guy in your town who's driving an Uber, who's driving a Lyft. That guy's not trying his best to not have any income. He's using his brother or sister's Social Security card number. That's what he's using, or his cousin or someone who's legal, and he's not. And he's somehow trying to figure out how to get welfare or get something like that. That's the guy who's doing it. The guy coming across the border, hardly at all. Hardly at all. They're coming here for work, and there's work for them. If it wasn't, they wouldn't come here. So step one is we have people who want them to work for hospitality industries, restaurants, cleaning services, farmers, all those things. Can't wait to get them, want them all the time. If that's true, then we need to create a system that would allow these people to come here, get documented, get checked out, and then we know where they're going to go work. We need to create a realistic workers pass, workers visa. We have to create a real one. If we did that, that would change everything. Comes off the black market. We can now follow them and know who's in our country. We can have a secure border and have tons and tons of good, vibrant immigration. We could do that. Let me cover 3 parts. First part, our foreign policy. First part is foreign policy. Stay out of Central America, period. Full stop. I don't want any policy requirements for foreign aid. I actually don't even want any foreign aid. But if you've got to keep some foreign aid because it's a jobs program for either us or them or both, I get it. That's not going to stop overnight. Okay, fine. We can slowly pull back on the jobs programs that we're giving each other, right? Our jobs program to make this stuff, their jobs programs to buy and sell it. I got it. So at a minimum, just stop the policy issues. Even if you've got to keep some of the foreign aid going in, which that's a hill I won't die on. The hill I got to die on is stop putting any strings attached to our foreign aid regarding the drug war, regarding politics, regarding whether you're communist or socialist or Democrat, whatever. Let them run their countries the way they want to run their countries, whatever that is. Step one, we do that, and you will watch all of a sudden the drug cartels begin to slow down. Over the course of several years, they'll basically go away. They'll become something else. They won't be the drug cartels. They won't be so violent. They'll be some other underground, or they'll legitimize themselves with government or something like that. That's what happens every single time. They'll become a thugocracy or something. Who cares? They won't be killing their citizens, and they can work with it and fix it the way they want to. So they'll stop running. Step one. Step number 2, we need to make sure that we're not just granting asylum for anybody. We should actually have an actual reason to say you get asylum because you are fleeing a genocide. That, in my view, and some of you I'm sure would be mad at me about that, but that, in my view, is a valid reason to grant someone asylum. If people are lining your people against a wall and shooting them or marching off to camps or something, you get to come. We will take your huddled masses. Yes, we will. I don't want genocides. I don't want to support genocides. I want to happily take them. No worries. That's number 2. So the other asylums that we've had from the Cold War, end that. Why are we doing that? It's silly. It's unnecessary. It has to end, and we can change that tomorrow. That's part 2. Part 3, we have to create what I call the Ellis Island system. And I say the first step is to build 2 Ellis Islands on the border, on the U.S.-Mexican border. That's my first step. Now, we can expand this later, whatever, it's fine. But the first 2 things is I want to build 2 on the southern border, probably Texas and probably California, but wherever it seems to work. Each one of them is a very large, massive facility, large facility, that if you want to come to our country, you go to one of those facilities. So you're walking from Mexico, you say, I'm not fleeing a genocide. I'm going to go to the Ellis Island. And we take you to the Ellis Island. We do. We take you right on in. As they come on in, great. We check them out. Is there a 2-week quarantine or whatever is the appropriate medical quarantine? We do a background check. Are they drug cartel? Are they Al-Qaeda? Whatever. Are they whatever? If they are, you can arrest them, take care of them, send them back, whatever. There's the appropriate punishment. Do they have a disease? Can we treat them or not? Whatever the case may be. That's the first step. Once we have that, we go, great. What state or what city are you going to go off and work to? Do you already have an employer? If not, we have a way of finding employers. How do we do this, Larry? Because the people who run this aren't the government. Yeah, because that would cost taxes, and you know I'm against taxes, right? So that's going to cost taxes. Who runs it? 2 separate private companies. They may not be together, even in a holding company. There must be 2 separate companies. That must be in the law that we create this. The rules must be separate companies. Mergers, no, you may not merge at all. That breaks the entire system. Why? Because if you have 2 separate companies, if one company is worse, they will go to the other one. it will cause each one to be more and more humane and attractive and fast at what they're doing because people go to the right ones. Well, why would you care which one you go to? Because here's where they get paid. They get paid like recruiting companies get paid now. There's literally a recruiting industry in America right now. So what do? They get paid by the companies who pick up the people. So farmers want it? Great. Right now, farmers in America right now are dropping thousands of dollars in the black market. So are hotels and restaurants, thousands of dollars. Don't do that. Don't do that. Instead, have them give that money to the companies who have the bodies for them. Make it above board. Don't make it black market right away. Hey, Ellis on number 1. I need 3 workers. Got it. Cost X, Y, and Z. We got them. They're safe. They're good. Where they going to what state? Awesome. Off they go. Now you might say, well, Larry, what if the states don't want them? Okay, a state can opt out if it wants to. Let a state opt out. Fine. The state will opt out. Fine. I think they'll be dumb, but fine. You can do it. So you give them an orange card. Boom. Orange card. Off they go. Now, here's the important piece. While the DACA plan had many faults, it also had 2 very, very smart things. And that was 2 ideas. 1, if you are now have the new orange card, right? It's not a green card. It's an orange card. It's a worker's card. That's all it is. You go there, you get an EIN so you can pay your taxes because you need to be paying your taxes here, but you may not take any form at all of public assistance. If you do, you can be thrown out. We grab you, throw you out of the country. Gone. No public assistance. 2, you have to check in every 2 years. If you don't check in, we come to get you, throw you out. That's it. Throw you out. You are now criminal. You got to go out. If you check in every 2 years, you're good. Checking every 2 years, fine. If we do that, you renew every 2 years. Are you still working? Are you in public assistance? No. Good. Back out you go. So you're paying taxes and not getting any form of public assistance. Not a bad deal as far as I'm concerned. I like that. They might say, wait a minute, Larry. If you do that, it could be some problems, right? Who's going to come here? Who's going to go to this Ellis Island? Well, there are give or take 11 or 12 million undocumented workers in America. They can go there. You don't have to come from Mexico. You can literally come from Ohio, walk there or drive there, whatever, and see if you can get your orange card. I don't care where you come from. Go get legal. Go get documented. Go do it. So if you walk over there and go do that, here's what will happen. This is what happens to everything. Most people won't do it. They just won't. They'll be afraid. They won't do it. But out of the 12 million, say only 500,000 go. That's less than 10%. Only 500,000. It's actually less than 5%, isn't it? Yeah, that's less than 5%. So only 500,000 go. And now they come back. People go, wow, you came back. Yeah, got my card. I'm legal. Oh my God, it works. It works. I went there. They checked me out. I didn't have COVID. I'm not a dealer. I'm good. They gave me I'm working. I'm legal now. Now, if my boss harasses me, I can actually call the cops. Now, if bad Pablo is blackmailing me or trafficking my family, I can call the cops on him because I'm not getting removed anymore. What does that mean? It means it's easier for law enforcement to do their job. Right now, it is impossible for us. We don't have the resources to grab all the undocumented workers. We don't have it. It's impossible. We don't have the money or the time. We can't. But I don't want to get rid of them all. I just want to get rid of the bad guys. And there's bad guys. You know, the joking of Trump saying there's some bad hombres. Trump acted like every single, person who came over was a bad guy. That's not true. But there are absolutely some bad guys who come across that border, of course. But we can't get them. Why? Because they go into enclaves and the people don't say anything because they get arrested and they get deported. Well, now Maria is legal. So she's not scared of Pablo anymore. She's like, damn, there he is. So when the cops come by and go, where's bad Pablo? She goes, right there. Go get him. Cops get him. Everyone sees that and goes, I should go get mine too. And then they start going. And now what winds up happening over time? This doesn't happen overnight. This is a long, as I said, 7 years, as I was talking about, right? So over the course of 4, 5, 6 years, you're going to find that undocumented illegal worker pool go real small. And when it's real small, very easy for the cops to get them because it's a whole lot smaller. And if those guys are doing things that are illegal, they're putting the other people in jeopardy. They don't want that. Well, now I'm legal. So I'm happy my kid's in school. I'm paying taxes. I'm working. I don't want to screw this up. I'm sending money back home to my family in Guatemala. I'm not going to screw this up. You're going to do some shady stuff? I'm telling on you. Larry, how do you know that? Because that's what happens in New York City. That already happens. That's how we stopped the Times Square bomber. He was a Muslim guy who had I forgot, he had like a hot dog stand or something. And another fellow Muslim was like, oh, that guy's doing something. No. And he called the cops. That's how we got him. He's like, you're not messing up my deal. I like it here. I'm happy here. I'm legal. I'm making money here. My family's here. You're not screwing this up for me. Cops get him. That already happens. That is what happens. We can encourage that. Literally, the immigrant community can police itself if we create the environment for them to do so. It's that simple. We could absolutely do that. And all of a sudden now, over time, we get the bad guys out and the good people stay. You say, but Larry, what if there's no work for them? If there's no work for them, then they won't come, will they? If we've stopped the horribleness in their countries, they won't have to come to us. There won't be the gang violence. There won't be the cartel system in their own countries. So many of them will stay because it'll be better. They would rather stay in the country. It's what they know. It's their family and friends. So less will come. But if now we make it legal for them to come across and these guys start going to the right places, they'll know where the work is. If there's no work, they'll stop coming. That's how it works. But wait a minute, Larry, that's not going to work. Because how are we going to pay for this thing? We don't. And that's my point. You have at least two of them. Two separate companies. They compete. They buy it. They pick up the price of the whole thing. Yeah. Yes. And they get paid by people they place. It's in their best interest to place. But what happens if they screw up? They mess up now. And they send a bad guy when they shouldn't have. They didn't do a good enough background check or whatever. And the guy's over there. He's a bad guy and he hurts people. Now at least there's somebody who's accountable. They're going to have insurance for something like that. Of course they would. They have insurance for that now. There's literally a recruiting industry right now in America. They'll just pick this up and do it for us. The industry exists already. They have insurance for that. Now someone can compensate if someone does something stupid. Right now what happens? The bad guy goes to jail and the person who's hurt is screwed. That's it. The incentive is not to let bad guys through. But Larry, there's still bad guys coming through. Yes, you are correct. And the bad guys won't be going into the Ellis Islands. They'll be going in between. So guess what we can do? We still have Border Patrol. They still exist. So now the Border Control people can go across and look just for the bad guys. That's it. Their job is to get bad guys. And if they're good at the right spots, then the only way the bad guys can get through is to the desert. Now, I don't want anybody dying in the desert. But if I got to pick who's going to die in the desert, I don't want it to be a family. I'd rather be a bad guy. I'd rather it be some drug cartel guy or whatever, some terrorist bad guy, whatever. Let that guy die in the desert if we have to. I don't want anybody to die, but let that guy then die. This is a way we can control our border. And you might say, well, Larry, what if there's too many? What if there's lines out the whatever? Okay, build a third one. Or a fourth one, whatever is required. The only issue the government has to do is allow these people to have a space and the leeway to go do so. They are authorized by the government to act accordingly. But Larry, it's not fair because these people, they're going to start jumping the line and blah, blah. Remember that argument? No, this is separate. It's not government run. So anyone who was in the system, the government system, is not affected at all. This is a separate system. And we can create rules to let these people, if they want to get a green card, right? You can, like say, for example, I'm making this up for sake of argument. If you keep your orange card for 10 years, you don't get in trouble, you don't get convicted of a crime, you don't take public assistance, and you checked in 4 times, right? You did what you want, you can apply for a green card. I'm making that up. Maybe you have to pass a test or speak English or whatever you like. I don't care. We make the rules for that. And again, government doesn't do it. Private company does it. And they charge a fee. That's how they get paid, right? You want your green card? You got to pay a fee, whatever, $500 or whatever the fee is. Great. You want it? Save up your money. You're working. Pay the $500. Get a green card. Pass the test. Right? Then if that works, whatever, 5 years, 10 years, whatever the green card, whatever the rules are, whatever the tests are, you can get citizenship. You'll find a pathway to green card and citizenship that does not hurt anybody else who's in the system legally in any other legal system in government. Everyone could go forward. In fact, I would bet that private system would actually be better at it than our government system, to where people would actually get out of the government system and just go to the Ellis Island. It'd be faster, better, cheaper. And it would actually take a burden off the government. And we could even get rid of it and have a very small immigration system in the government because the private sector picks it up. That could easily happen over the course of 10, 15 years. Could absolutely happen. It's a long-term, real solution that will fix our immigration problem. Vibrant immigration, a strong border still, control of who comes in, workers go, we know where they are. States can opt out if they want to opt out. I can't imagine a state opting out. It'd be so dumb, but they could do it if they want to. They're hardcore, hate immigrants, fine, opt out and ruin your economy. Up to you. And watch a black market pop up anyway. Or be smart, do it legal, do it in a way that makes everybody happy. This is how we could actually fix this, not the garbage you see now. Just not going to happen. I hope that was clear. I'm going to grab a couple comments here. I just wanted to cover that because it bothered me so much hearing it. It's every damn year. We always talk about it. Absolutely. And if you like what I'm saying, if you think these are good ideas, then do me a favor, sponsor the show so I can keep doing it. Head over to patreon.com/SharpeWay. Throw me $10, $25, whatever you got. Helps me out tremendously. It helps me build my team and get more equipment and keep moving on to the best of my ability. I do appreciate that. And if you don't have the cash, you know what I'm going to say next, right? You can just head over to that link right there. It's in the description. Head on over there, take the censorship and free speech survey. Click that link, take it. It's about 5 minutes, give or take. About 5, maybe 6 if you finish it up. Take it, share it online. It does matter. It makes my sponsors happy. They help me run this show. So please do that. Head over to theadvocates.org. Click that button, censorship and free speech survey. Click that right there. Take that test and share it. It does help. And of course, the least you can do, like, comment, share. It does matter. The comments, the liking, and the sharing absolutely matters. Thank you so much for all the time you give me. Let me grab a couple of comments. All right. Let's see here. Dan says, none of them really want to solve it or any issue. Yes, it would deprive them of their political hockey pucks. Well, I like that. Political hockey pucks. That's good. I like that. Jimmy says, so churches and nonprofits aren't allowed to help because it's a national security issue. That's how it often works. They don't want them involved. That's how they push them away. Yes, it's how government, remember, government's often a monopoly, and that they create laws to ensure that they're the only ones who can help. Has to be them. Nobody else can help. Absolutely. Andrew says, should we have a system in that we had for Ellis Island? Yes. 100%. Yes, that was my whole point. I guess you did this before I said that. Yes, Andrew, you're right. I think that style of system is right. You take care of people and you just make sure they're not sick and whatever the case may be, and you set them up ready to go. And again, to be forward, recruiters do this in a different way, but conceptually the same. If you, Andrew, decide you want to get a job in Ohio or something, you move to Ohio, and you hire a recruiter, the recruiter says, okay, let's go over your resume. Let's go over your background. Let's do some prepping for your interview. They do all these things to get you ready. Similar idea, but this would be much more physical. Like, do you have a disease? Do a background check? Are you a criminal? Those types of things. So yes. So, all right. National security, war on drugs, terrorism, COVID-19. Don't you just love all these popular catch-all phrases they come up with? Yeah, Dan, they say it and you get scared. That's what it's all about. 100%. Yes. Gene says, sounds good to have someone other than the government solving problems. That's also true. I do like that. Absolutely. Also good. Yes. 100%. So Lyndon says, the border issue is the worst of compromise. One party wants it, the other doesn't. So like gun control, it becomes a, you can do it, but it's so difficult you can't issue. Ooh, interesting. Okay. So you let them do it, but it's so hard. Okay. I'm not sure who this is. NY to UT to ID to NV. I'm going to call you NY. NY says, unbelievable that literally nothing has changed the last 15 years. Yeah. It's not changing. It's the same thing again and again and again. So, yes. Lyndon says, you're going to make me agree with Prince Cuomo. The wall wasn't the panacea answer. Yes, but there is no panacea, right? Not just the wall. Trump says the wall. Biden says it's money. Neither is the panacea. Could either help a little? Sure. There's no question either could help a little, but neither of them solves anything. Doesn't solve it at all. Yes. Corey says, thoughts on legalization of the devil's lettuce today, Larry. I'm going to cover that tomorrow. on my A Free Solution show on WYSL in Rochester. So I'll be talking, that's a New York show. I'm going to cover about that New York piece then. So yes, thank you for that. Tony says, why can't the Mexican government create opportunities in Mexico so that more people will stay? I think the Mexican government actually is pretty good. It's relative to most of Central and South America. It's relatively good. A lot of these people aren't coming from Mexico. They're coming from other areas. Mexico is better than the other ones. So I think if we stop trying to tell them what to do, I think they will be able to make it better. There's a lot of the immigrants actually aren't Mexican. Many are, but not all. Many of them also from Guatemala, El Salvador, etc. Dan says, if you spend time outside the touristy areas of those countries, it does take a long time to figure out why they're clamoring to get here. Yeah, you're exactly right. You know, I've spent time in some, I guess would say underdeveloped areas of the world. And yeah, it can be scary. You can understand why people would do whatever it takes to kind of get out of that. Absolutely. Yes. So let's see here. Sean says, and in usual fashion, Republicans are going to the border to make Biden look bad, and Democrats are silent with no actual solutions are discussed. Well, I think there is a solution discussed, Sean. It's just, again, one that's not going to help. Biden is talking great. He is. He's just not doing anything that does anything. It doesn't help, right? I'm going to write a check for $700 million. Well, you wrote that check back in 2010, and by 2014, you still had a crisis. It didn't work then. It's not going to work now. And to be forward, Sean, I'm not saying it's going to work, but he is talking about a solution. It's just a useless one, but it's a solution. Hey, I'll throw money at it because that's what Americans do well. That's what American government does well. Writes checks. Absolutely. Just lots of them. Royal says, we all need to have compassion for our own homeless people too. Yes. I don't see the government giving a homeless a hotel. In New York City, you actually do, Royal. That actually happens in New York City. We do give them hotels. That is the norm for us. In fact, we did it so much once that you might remember the story. We actually put them in 5-star hotels in the Upper West Side, and a bunch of Upper West Side New Yorkers literally packed up and left the state because of it. Yes. In New York City, we do. So New York, we actually do that. But yes, I want compassion, not just for them, but I want compassion for our homeless too. Homeless is a different issue. We could talk about that if you want. There are many ways of fixing homelessness. We won't do that either. We won't touch that either. But I can talk about homelessness if you want to. But this is the border. We should have compassion for everybody, right? I mean, we should have compassion. It doesn't mean we have to give people everything. It doesn't mean we have to sacrifice ourselves to everybody. But you can have compassion and still find a real answer. It's possible. It's challenging, right? But it can be done. Lyndon says, immigrants are some of the hardest people I know. They work in conditions most people would quit in, and the way they get paid would make a $15 an hour supporter weep. Nuts to your $15 an hour. Try getting paid $2 per square foot for framing in 100+ degree weather and come talk to me. Interesting concept. I like that, Lyndon. Good concept. Yeah. All right. Ryan says, I hear about all the violence in our border towns as if immigrants are violent and must be the problem. Yell at Detroit, New York, LA, and Portland. But I don't doubt there is violence in those towns. I don't doubt it, right? And I don't know the details, but that's not unreasonable for me. They're illegal. They can't work. They're hiding from the police. When people are desperate, they do desperate things. When you put people in desperate situations, they do desperate things. So I have an idea. Don't put them in desperate situations. Let them go to the Ellis Islands. It won't be desperate. And if those places are so bad, people won't go to them. So they'll go to the other one, which will be better. And then the other one must get better for that. And they must both get better. So they won't be horrible places. That would stop the kids in cages. Just like that. Yes. Jason says, not sure why the U.S. government hasn't thought about a migrant cities along the border. It's really as simple as that. Yes. Yeah, because they don't want to fix it, Jason. They don't want to. Are you telling me I'm the only guy who can come up with this answer? Stop. I'm smart. I'm not that smart. I'm just not that smart, right? I'm not the smartest guy. And I'm the only guy in America who can figure this out. Stop. Of course you can figure it out. Of course they could figure it out. Of course they could. They don't want to. They don't want to. Michael says, as a libertarian, I've always been torn on borders. This is a tough issue with no perfect solution. Agreed, Michael. My solution is not perfect. It is not perfect. I'm totally agreeing with you. It is not perfect. Is it better than what we have? Yes. Is it a great place where we can build from and make things better that I've probably missed or haven't thought of? Yes. Of course, it's not perfect. It's just way better. If you compare any of my policies to perfection, I always lose. Perfection is amazing, but we are nowhere near perfection. So I just ask that you compare my policy to status quo. Compare to status quo, great. And by the way, I'm not an open borders libertarian, and it makes libertarians angry when I say it. I'm not. I don't think America's ready for open borders at all. I think we have to have a way of controlling our borders, but have very vibrant immigration. And I'm trying to find that piece. You guys have been paying attention to me for a while. You know I'm always doing that. I'm trying to find the most libertarian solution for the problems that we have today that I think could actually work and be implemented. That's what I'm trying to achieve. And I'm trying to give these out to everybody. So hopefully one of you wins something and we can actually make it happen or get the ear of somebody who might want to make this thing happen. That's what I'm doing. Thank you for that, Michael. You're right, though. Jimmy says, as a father of 3 girls, I cannot imagine how bad it has to be to send my kids over the border by themselves, not knowing their future. Jimmy, thank you for your compassion. Thank you for your compassion. And you don't have to believe they deserve to be here, or you might, whatever. You can still, as a parent, have some compassion for that and go, you know what? It's not their fault. I might want to send them home, but you don't got to be a jerk about it. Right? I'm with you. Thank you, Jimmy, for that. I really appreciate that. Yes. And in usual fashion, we discussed this already. So sorry about that. I missed that one already. Yes. Jeff says, you're 100% right, Larry. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. Yes. Have we tried bombing, starting insurgency to make them refugees? Yeah, we're good at bombing. I mean, if bombing is the answer, we got that covered, right? If we can think, well, we can't throw money at it, can we throw bombs at it? We're good at that. That would work. Michael says, I'm a father of a daughter as well and feel what you are saying. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Yes. I would think they would gradually expand north, wouldn't they? Maybe, Eric. I don't know. The reality of it is the biggest crisis. I want to put my resources where the crisis is right now, and that's the southern border. But I think your point's a valid one. Would we want to move them someplace else? Yeah, maybe. And I'd be okay with that. Whatever works, right? This would be private companies petitioning the government to say, hey, I want to build another Ellis Island in whatever, New York City, Oklahoma City, LA. I want to build one. Will you give me the authorization to act in accordance with the U.S. law to get the orange card or whatever? I made it up, orange card, whatever it is, to get the orange card or the thing, to get that thing. And if the government goes, yeah, we have a need, put it in Portland, whatever, it's fine. So that's what will be happening. The government will be giving the equivalent of an okay to go do it, to act as, in accordance with federal law. So whatever, I'd accept that. We're not solving the problem. Clearly, CA, FTA, DR isn't working. I'm not sure that's true. I don't know if that's true. We should take a look at fixing the trade agreement. We've been arguing about legal immigration for over 20 years and nothing. I don't know if the New Deal is not working, right? I'm not necessarily against Trump's New Deal. I don't know. I think we don't know yet, to be fair. It's my opinion. Maybe someone who's an economist may be able to show me otherwise. I'm open to being wrong here. I feel like that isn't the issue. I think the issue is the 3 things I mentioned. But I'm happy to look at that. If that would affect our foreign policy and you think would help, let's adjust it. I'm in. They go where the work is, not where it's true. Yes, absolutely, it's true. Yes. Yep. Larry, it's Trans People Visibility Day. You missed an opportunity to address some of their issues today. I actually didn't know that. I fall when it comes to, sometimes I fall when it comes to LGBTQ or GSM, the gender and sexual minorities issues, because I live in New York City. And in New York City, it's not a thing. It's not a thing that we talk about or have a problem with, really. I mean, of course, there's always some bias, clearly, but compared to other places in America, I mean, again, it's relative. Relative to a place in America, the war's over. The war's won in New York City, right? Relative to other areas. It's a relative piece, obviously. So I think often I don't touch those issues enough because I don't see them right in my world. Maybe I should. It's a valid point. Maybe I should. Maybe I do something tomorrow on it. I hadn't even thought about that. Maybe I should. Thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate it. Michael says drug cartels are a big part of the problem. The corrupt governments and part-time situations are part of the roots. That's a good point. I like that. And I don't think that us trying to control them is helping. I think they have to figure out their own issues in the way they have to figure them out, whatever that is. And us telling them it's not the right answer. But I think it's a valid point. So Ryan says, what about the spending for these illegal immigrants, putting them up in hotels? I think I read something that it costs $72,000 per person. That sounds high. But that's my point, Ryan, right? I don't want the American government paying for it. If you have private organizations create the Ellis Islands, then they pay for it because they're getting paid. And they would create an economy where they would get paid for this. You don't have to have the government pay. If the Ellis Island people want to pay $72,000 to keep one person up, that's what they'll do. But I couldn't imagine that being the case. I couldn't imagine that being the case. So I think it will lower the cost. It will lower everything. And you're not paying for it unless you care, right? If Ryan, I don't know your background, but Ryan, if you have a company that wants, immigrant labor, you would pay the fee to get your immigrant labor and you'd be paying for it, which is fine. You're the guy getting the labor. Fine, pay for it. Who cares? You're going to pay for it. You want the labor, pay for it. But if you're not that person, you don't pay for it. So this system, I wouldn't care how much it costs. I would hope it wouldn't be that bad, but taxpayers aren't paying for it. I'm good, Ryan. Whatever they want to pay, they pay. And if you want the labor, you pay for it. You don't want the labor, doesn't affect you. So chickens coming home to roost so often, Tony, you are correct. I see that so often. Absolutely. Lyndon says, Ron Paul talking foreign policies with terminating libertarianism. Yep. Realizing the war on terror failed, why, and the repercussions of all of it was an eye-opener. Yes. Talk foreign policy to me, baby. Thank you. Cliff says, exactly right, Larry. And unfortunately, our government doesn't have the cojones to get rid of bad policy, i.e. the war on drugs, immigration too. 100%. Sam says, immigration is an important and healthy function for countries. I agree. And particularly for country population growth, Sam, particularly for that. A lot of the more industrialized countries, we aren't repopulating anywhere near as fast as we used to because we're not having as many children. So immigration is a big way that the countries actually keep growing. So surely. So sadly, plying people out of Central and South America with promises of free things in mass destabilizes them. Yes, increases taxes and money printing for these programs, steals it from our prosperity too. Yes, we don't need more labor. We need more innovation and less taxes, programs, prohibitions. Yes, lose. I'm with you, Sam. Right? If we create a world to where you make the labor legal, you make the labor documented, that whole piece goes away. So now that money can be used someplace else in whatever it takes. Maybe we have more prosperity. Maybe we have more technology. Absolutely. But again, if we stop the other part that I taught before the Ellis Island piece, we actually stop the mass exodus, as you're talking about, and people stay in their own countries, they don't destabilize. Well, that gets better. So now what do the Ellis Islands do? What if, to your point, Sam, a lot of immigration doesn't come in as much as it used to? It slows down. Okay, what will the Ellis Islands do? They'll start processing all the undocumented workers who are already here. And the 12 million or whatever the number is now will go smaller to eventually there's hardly any. And at that point, either Ellis Islands will shut down or find another way of doing something. Doesn't matter, right? Because it's a private sector. They will find a way to either retool or they'll go away. All good. It's a win-win over time. So Liberty Shamrock says, love thy neighbor. It's literally in the Bible. And yes, it includes a neighbor on the south. Thank you. I appreciate that. We should try to 100%. Yes. All right. Let's see if I can keep going here. See, if we had socialism, the government could plan for it. Crash the hotel market and house them for a lot cheaper. Boo. I know you're teasing. But yes, it's bad. Jason says, maybe, talking to someone else. Sorry, I missed it. I apologize. That was not for me. I apologize. Brennan says, Biden will probably appoint Cuomo to check for COVID passports at the border. Not a bad idea, Brandon. I like that. I like that idea. Michael says, have we tried spreading freedom and liberty and free market principles to the world? America has lost its way. Yeah. no longer spreading freedom and personal liberty. Yes, Michael, you're right. We are more concerned about empire and control than we are about spreading our culture, right? America at its best, at its absolute best, when we're able to be that shining city on a hill that Ronald Reagan talked about and that goal that I think most of us want to be, it is more powerful than any Marine to hit the beach, than any bomb to fall, than any drone strike, whatever the case may be. Our culture at its best is more powerful than all of that stuff. It's not even close. Not even close. And I think we have lost our way. I agree. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Let's do that. I want to do that. That's good. America is a melting pot. We literally need immigration to continue to be America. Reagan's parting speech is perhaps the best explanation. I'm not sure we're actually a melting pot. I say all the time, I'm more like a quilt. We're a beautiful quilt with a bunch of patches everywhere, different people, different ideas and things. I'm not sure we melt. I think if you look now at America, we're more divided than ever. We're not melty at all. And we don't usually melt. We are a patchwork, but all together we make a beautiful quilt. So I like a patchwork quilt. I think it's a better analogy. So yeah. Tim says, interesting. Your policy solutions are very different than progressive policy solutions, yet AOC recognizes all the same for causes that you recognize. Again, Tim, I go back to that point. I think Democrats are very good at pointing out problems. I think it's true. There's a saying I use often. I heard it years ago, but I think it's still relatively accurate. If you want to know what's wrong with the country, ask a Democrat. If you want to know what's right with the country, ask a Republican. And they'll often tell you. Republicans tell you what's right. Democrats say what's wrong. And they're right. Both of them are correct, right? But then the Republican goes, see, it's all right. Let's do nothing. Democrat goes, oh, it's all wrong. More government, socialism. So right now we have the party of no ideas and the party of bad ideas. I'm trying to be the party of real ideas. That's my hope. That's my hope. So Dan Tuck says, write checks and start committees. Also true. We're good at that too. Oh, we're good at printing fiat money. Yes, I'm sorry, Tony. That's also, I thought of that as writing checks being the same, but you're right. They're separate. The thought is if you write a check, usually there's money in the bank for that check. We just print the money. It's fine. How much you need? Hold on. There's some more. Now we're good. Valid point, Tony. Thank you. I appreciate that. That was good. So, all right. Adam says, lol, I can see headline, Libertarian advocates for bombing Central and South America. Well, we're good at it. If someone's going to bomb, it should be us is all I'm saying, right? It's one of our skill sets. So, yeah, absolutely. William says, right and wrong, there isn't a side. Oh, I like that thought process. It's a better way of looking at things, William. I think you're right. It's a better way of looking at it. Yes. Brett says, this is a fantastic. Thank you, Brett. I appreciate that. I'm trying my best to provide some decent value. I hope that's good. Jimmy says, Democrat solution to all problems, just throw money at it. Sadly, Republicans now have fallen to the same thing. If you go back 30 years, whatever the number is, a lot of Republicans, many Republicans, not a lot, many more Republicans were actually fiscally conservative. Now, Republicans spend money on different things, but they spend money too. Trump spent money on stuff. Bush spent money on stuff. Obama spent money on stuff. Biden spending money on stuff. They're all just spending money on stuff. I think Tony's right. We just keep making the money. Tony's right, making the fiat currency. We're like, the money tree never ends. Keep plucking. So I think they've all done that now, right? The difference is, generally speaking, when Republicans throw money at it, the more the money goes to the private sector generally. That's not a 100% rule, but a general rule. And there isn't as much control over the money, except when it comes to overseas. Republicans want control when it comes to overseas, not internally. Democrats are the opposite. They want control internally. It's a different piece. So I hope that makes sense. All right. See if I can get here. Liberty says, yes, we rely on our southern neighbors. They don't get welfare. They have an excellent work ethic. They work circles around most Americans. It depends on the jobs, to be forward with you. That depends on the jobs. Not every job, but I think there are certain jobs where that's absolutely true. Depends on the job. Yes. So, and the $15 minimum wage will only add to this problem. I think you're right. I think people have, look, to be forward with you, I get why people want a $15 minimum wage. The goal is actually a similar goal that most people have. People want a livable salary or livable income where you can survive and have a decent life. I think most people agree that's a good thing for Americans. The problem is too many people believe that the only way of doing that is government to mandate the wage. That isn't the only way to do so. And I would say it's one of the worst ways to do it, right? Where there are other ways of doing it. And I always say by encouraging ownership mindset over time is a better way of doing it. I'm not prepared to fight on a $15 minimum wage hill, though, and die on it. And I know it makes some of them trainers angry. They want me to be against it and yell and scream. I am against it, but it's going to happen. There's no way around it. It's not a battle I want to fight. I can't win it. And if I do, I sound like a jerk anyway. So why would I want to sound like a jerk, lose a battle, and lose people? It's done. We're going to lose it. Let's fight other battles we can win. Let's push better policies because this $15 minimum wage is going to be good for now, but 10 years from now, it's got to be 20 or 25 or whatever. It's going to keep going. And eventually we go, oh, maybe this isn't working. So I don't think it'll pull people out of poverty. I don't think it's going to help much at all. I think whatever's going to happen was already happening. But again, it's not, I can't die on every hill. This is one I don't think it's worth fighting. I know it sounds bad. I am against it. And people ask me, I tell them I don't hide it. I just don't make it a big thing. I just don't think it's a battle we can win. So my 2 cents. Jesse says, God damn it, Larry's a libertarian that could bring the normies to our side. I hope you're right, Jess, please. Yes. I hope you're right. Oh my God, yes. I hope so. That'd be amazing. I hope you are right. Yes. Jamie says, how about a study on the effects of economic strain on the populace? It hasn't been done. Jamie, I'm not sure where you're going. Do you mean the economic strain on the people who accept the immigrants, that populace? Do you mean locally or nationally, or do you mean in their home countries? I'm not sure where you're going with that. I think if you look at the home countries, I think destabilization is a problem. I think Sam brought that up, and I think Sam's correct. The massive people leaving does destabilize their country. It makes things worse, right? Massive people leaving your country makes things worse. So for them, I think it's obvious it's worse. I mean, you can do a study, but there's no doubt you're going to come up with that. That's for sure, right? You will come up with that problem. If local areas or states think that it will hurt them, they can always opt out of the plan and go, you know what? We don't want them because it hurts us or whatever. The idea of letting states opt out would allow, Jamie, for people to decide whether they want it to happen. They can look in states and go, wow, it's working in Texas, but it's not working in Wyoming or whatever would be the issue. You could see that happen. So I'm not against the study. I think it's a great idea. And I would bet that if a company, a large recruiting company, and there are many of them that are actually national, that would pick up this task, they'd probably do several of them. So they would know where to put people, where to have the recruiters in, where to have relationships, how to send the people to where they're sending them. I think that would come naturally. That's my assumption, at least. The line for those facilities would stretch for miles and days, Larry. Maybe, but only if you were able to do all three things, right? The Ellis Islands aren't a panacea on their own either. I wish they were, right? That'd be amazing if I could magically make those things and it's all perfect. You also have to add the other two aspects of changing law and changing foreign policy. I think if you do both of those and then do the Ellis Islands, and again, Ellis Islands aren't going to be built in a day. It'll take at least a year to build both Ellis Islands. I mean, theoretically, do it in 6 months, but probably about a year for each one of them. So over that time, you would change the policy so that you shouldn't have that. But you might. But let's say you're right, Tony, and there's lines. Those lines will be stretching without Ellis Islands, just sitting on the border. At least there's something to go. And again, at least the private sector could find a way to fix it. They go, oh my God, those are all my customers. If I can place all those people, I'm going to make a killing. So let me spend some extra money to house these people so they don't go away. So then the private sector would pick up the bill to make that happen. Not a bad deal. Not a bad deal. So Cliff says, it's a great idea, Larry. More Ellis Islands probably run, not like the VA, which is government run. Yes. Yes. Imagine if instead the VA wasn't actually a system of hospitals and doctors, but instead was simply an insurance company. Go where you want to go, swipe your card. It's an insurance company. Way better idea, Cliff. The VA should be an insurance company only. Way better. Yes. Kate says we need to stop treating immigrants like they're the enemy. Agreed. The only enemies to the people is the massive government. How can I say no to that? The government overlords that are trying to dissolve the rights of the people while robbing us all blind. Bingo. Yes. Sharpe stated that the main drive is gangs and drug cartels. They are the enemies. Yes. Gangs that come over like MS-13 are a real problem. I agree completely. And one of the reasons, and to be clear, also there are many reasons, but one of the reasons why we struggle to take care of MS-13 is they're sitting in illegal or undocumented worker enclaves. And if they could get documented, the people would be more happy to assist and to turn on MS-13 and get rid of them. You would find that law enforcement would have an easier way of doing their job if there were more legal people in those neighborhoods. You need a lot of them, obviously. One wouldn't be enough because the violence is so strong. There have to be many legal people who could do things like go into witness protection program. Imagine if there was a family that can go to witness protection program and knock out all the top dogs in MS-13 in any given area. Would that be worth it? Of course it would be. Of course it would be. So you take one family out, witness protection, and you take out the head of MS-13. That happens once or twice. MS-13 goes someplace else. I'm not joking. They're staying here because it works. Once it stops working, they don't do it. So once they realize I can't do it, they go do something else. That's how it works. They find some other way, or they go to some other country, or they go to some other county or whatever. They leave, or they stop doing it because they're all going to jail. So I think you're right. It can work. Yes. So, all right. Sam says if we stop jailing non-violent workers, yep, remove minimum wage and stop the welfare state, we would have more than enough workers to feel prosperity and immigration would be an issue. That's wow. That is a big. That's a lot to ask for, Sam. I think my 2 Ellis Islands is easier than that. That's a lot to ask for. I like the idea, but that's a lot to add. I'm not sure we could do that. I'm not sure the country's ready for that. Yeah, that's what my gut tells me. I could be wrong on that. I'm ready to be wrong. I just think that maybe, yeah. So Rose says, I love the way Larry explains his ideas. Always open. Thank you, my friend. I try so much to do it so where I get it right. So I hope that's clear. So, all right. Let's see here. I grabbed that one already. Myra says, I saw a report where children at the border had phone numbers to family to contact in the U.S. I wonder why I'm not seeing those family members lining up already to receive the children. When you have contacted the family already to make sure they know and prepare, there must be a lot of people waiting we are not seeing. No, the problem, Myra, is many of the family members are also undocumented. So they don't want to come there because they'll get arrested by the Border Patrol. But they're still family members. So they'll send them literally undocumented to undocumented. I'm not joking. That's true. So, but if they go there and wait for them, then they get arrested and then they get sent back to their country. So they can't be there. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why. I hope that was clear. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for today. I appreciate it. As always, please like, comment, and share. It does matter. It's so important that people see these things and talk about it. So do your best to do that. If you can support the show, if you like what I'm pushing, then support the show financially. That's awesome if you can. But no matter what, like, comment, share. It does matter tremendously. I'm going to take off. I will have another cool show tomorrow and Friday. And someone bugged me about a Sharpe Way stew for Friday. So I'm going to try to find somebody for that to see if we can have a cool talk then. I will see you all tomorrow.